Going viral will not save your business. We seem to be obsessed with the likes, the shares, the comments, but in a lot of cases, going viral does not drive the results that you actually want for yourself or your business. And we need to talk about that more. Let's get into it. We seem to have confused attention with impact. So today I want to talk to you about why going viral often does not result in revenue, the biggest myth about being visible online and going viral, and the lever that you should actually be pulling on in order to make your videos drive your viewers to action. Now, don't get me wrong. I thought going viral was the holy grail of content. You get in front of a ton of people, everyone sees your product or service and sees how great you are, and then they're like, you know what? That guy did numbers, so I'm definitely going to buy from him. But that is often not how it works. And it's a pretty disappointing experience when most companies or creators experience this because they expect that to be the day that everything changes. And I started to see this pattern more frequently where people with large followings would constantly go viral, but then I'd hear them on podcasts saying that their content isn't actually making them any money. They're not driving any sales. But on the other side of things, I've seen stories where people have not that many followers and their videos are not going viral and they are able to drive millions, 7, 8 figures for their business because their content is hyper personalized and niche. And I think that is what we need to start thinking about more, especially as AI lowers the barrier to entry for content. We need to think about what our audience needs to hear versus the amount of people seeing our content. And I think the best analogy I've heard for this is going viral is like filling a restaurant full of people that are not hungry. When I saw more and more small creators that are super niche speaking directly to one audience see a ton of success, that is when I stopped chasing virality and I started chasing value, which is something that we need to talk about more. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is that visibility does not equal credibility. Just because people see you does not mean that they trust you. And I think where a lot of us get it wrong is thinking that if this content has gone viral, then it means it is an amazing piece of content that people agree with. And now we're going to make a ton of sales, or we're going to drive people to action, or people are going to be more interested in us. And that is simply not the case. A lot of times you go viral because you've hopped on a trend, or you go viral because it is not great press for you. There are a ton of reasons that you go viral. And I find that a lot of creators and brands, they continue to try and put out similar content to what worked for them, especially if they've not seen a lot of luck with their content historically. And it is just not the right way to think about making content. The best creators and brands out there, what they do is they build for resonance. They know exactly who they're talking to. Sometimes going viral can actually backfire. Do you remember the smoke campaign with Snoop Dogg and Solo Stove? That was an ad that seemed like a masterclass. It went super viral. It got over 50 million views. People were talking about it for days. But on the back end, it didn't result in any major sales differences for Solo Stove. It dropped their stock by about 20%, amongst other things, of course. And also, the CMO resigned because they realized that the campaign that they put out really didn't speak to their audience. And they saw it as a failure, even though it went massively viral. So there was no sales spike, no case study from that, and no celebration. So that is a clear signal that going viral and attention is not the only thing that matters. So if that's not the case, what does matter? And that brings me to the third thing that I want to talk about. And that is understanding where your audience is at mentally, what they need, anticipating their future needs. If you are the creator or brand that audiences watch and they're like, how did they know that I was thinking about that? How did they know that that was my problem? Then you are making the right content. Typically, where creators and brands drop the ball is throwing a bunch of content against the wall in chasing virality, and there's no strategy behind it whatsoever. If you're really thinking about the way that content works and building trust with your viewers, you will think about every single thing that your audience needs to believe before purchasing from you or working with you. And in doing that, you will serve them pieces of content that will smash objections, make them feel like they're learning things from you, and also anticipate their needs. And then once you've mapped those beliefs out, you need to position yourself as the person that's there to help. I'm not saying pitch yourself in every video, but I am saying by demonstrating that you have been there before or you can solve their problem, then you build that trust with them, you anticipate their needs, and you let them know that you are the right person to work with. But the main thing here is letting them know that you're actually available to solve those issues. This is a missed opportunity that I see from a lot of creators and brands. Let people know that you're there for them and that they can work with you. If you're finding this content helpful and it's changing the way that you think about it, please consider subscribing. It really helps with the channel. The last thing that I want to chat about here is the lever that I mentioned earlier that drives people to action when they view your content. And that lever that you want to pull is trust. And it has to be authentic. You have to be seen as the person or the company that is trusted by the viewer. And there's a couple ways to do this. The best way to do it is through education, right? So letting them know that, here are the things you need to be thinking about, letting them know that they have a problem in the first place, and then walking them through how to solve that problem, even if you're not involved. But the other thing that you need, and the thing that people fundamentally miss, is data and case studies. So if you can prove to your viewer that you've helped people in their exact position, then you will build that trust. The main thing to keep in mind here is you want to speak to one persona. One persona is the best way to build that trust, because every video that they see of yours, they will think to themselves, okay, this was made specifically for me, and Ademola knows exactly what I'm going through, where I'm going, and the types of things that I'm going to run into. So you need to pull on that lever of trust. You need to stick to one type of persona. And I promise you, even if the views don't come in, even if you don't go viral, you will be tapping into an audience that deeply trusts you, will refer you to other people in their network, and will know that you are the right person. They'll choose you above everybody else. So all in all, going viral does not mean that your content is valuable. The way to nurture your audience and build trust with them is to understand where they're coming from. And you can only really do that for one audience at a time. So be patient, build intentionally. And if you want to learn more about the future of video and the types of content that really resonate with viewers, you're going to want to click this video here.